Midnight settles over Pripyat, a planned city purpose-built for workers of the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant. Streetlights glow soft orange, reflected in the glassy windows of Soviet apartment blocks. Children are asleep in their beds. Young couples stroll the tree-lined boulevards. In living rooms, television sets hum with state programming, broadcasting the quiet pride of the Soviet dream. By every measure, it is a city at peace, a city that believes in the future. Just 2 miles away, Reactor No. 4 hums steadily. A colossus of steel and concrete, its control room buzzing with low conversation and the shuffle of papers. Tonight, nothing seems extraordinary. No alarms, no signs of danger. Yet beneath the surface, a different story is unfolding. The men inside the control room are preparing for a test, a routine procedure, one meant to prove the plant's safety in the event of a power outage. It is technical, meticulous, but not unusual. No one in Pripyat suspects that within hours, their lives will change forever. No one imagines that this city of nearly 50,000 souls will be abandoned, left frozen in time, a monument to disaster. For now, it is just another spring night in the Soviet Union, but in the dark belly of the reactor, an invisible clock is ticking. Inside Reactor No. 4, engineers prepare for a safety drill. The goal is simple: to test whether the plant's turbines can keep generating power in the seconds after a blackout, long enough for backup generators to kick in. On paper, it's routine. In practice, it's anything but. The reactor had been running at full power all day. Now, operators begin lowering output, carefully adjusting controls. But the reactor is unstable at low power. Its design deeply flawed, though few in the room truly understand how dangerous that flaw is. One misstep follows another. Power levels fall too far. Control rods, the very devices meant to stabilize the reactor, are withdrawn in a desperate attempt to recover. Warnings flash. Instruments show troubling signs. But the test must go on. Orders have come down from above, and in the Soviet Union, orders are not to be questioned. As the clock ticks toward 1 a.m., Reactor No. 4 is left in a fragile, volatile state. It is a machine balanced on the edge of chaos, its operators unaware that every adjustment, every turn of a dial, is tightening the spring of disaster. And when the final sequence begins, the fate of Chernobyl will be sealed. It is just past 1:23 a.m. Operators initiate the final phase of the test. Within seconds, Reactor No. 4 begins to spiral out of control. The power surges, first doubling, then multiplying, beyond the limits of its design. In a moment of panic, the emergency shutdown is triggered. Control rods plunge back into the core. But the rods themselves are fatally flawed. Their graphite tips act like sparks on dry tinder. Instead of calming the reactor, they ignite its fury. Then, a roar tears through the night. The reactor explodes with the force of hundreds of tons of TNT. The concrete roof is hurled into the air. Steel beams twist like paper. The heart of the reactor, molten fuel and graphite, is exposed to the open sky. Flames erupt, streaking high into the night. But the fire is not the true danger. It is the invisible cloud rising from the shattered core, a deadly plume of radioactive isotopes drifting silently on the wind. In Pripyat, windows rattle. Residents awaken in confusion, staring toward the distant glow. Some even gather on bridges, watching what looks like a strange, beautiful fire. They do not know that what they are seeing is the most dangerous light they will ever behold. The explosion shatters Reactor 4, but in its immediate aftermath, confusion reigns. Plant officials cannot accept what their eyes tell them. A nuclear reactor exploding? It is impossible, at least according to Soviet design. Inside the control room, operators argue over what has happened. Many believe the core is still intact, that the disaster is merely a fire. This denial is deadly. Firefighters rush to the scene. Young men armed with little more than hoses and bravery climb onto the blazing roof, unaware they are stepping into a storm of radiation. They spray water, their boots melting beneath them, their lungs filling with the invisible poison of cesium and iodine. In Pripyat, officials debate whether to warn the public. The Geiger counters scream, registering levels thousands of times above normal, but higher officials hesitate. To admit the truth would mean admitting a Soviet failure, so the people are told nothing. Children go to school. Families walk in the parks. Couples shop in open-air markets, all while radiation, silent and unseen, soaks into their skin, their food, their very breath. Every hour of delay makes the tragedy worse, and every decision to conceal the truth pushes thousands closer to disaster. The first to suffer are the firefighters. They fight the blaze with bare hands, with buckets of sand, with streams of water that turn to steam before reaching the core. Their skin reddens, blisters, peels away. Many will not live through the week. Inside the plant, workers stumble through smoke-filled corridors. Some volunteer to open valves, to drain water, to prevent further explosions, knowing the radiation will kill them, but going anyway. They are the first of thousands who will sacrifice themselves to contain the uncontainable. Then come the liquidators, soldiers, miners, engineers, men ordered to shovel radioactive debris off the roof in 90-second bursts before radiation sickness sets in. Others tunnel beneath the reactor, digging by hand in sweltering heat to prevent molten fuel from seeping into groundwater. They are sent with little more than shovels, gas masks, and the knowledge that their lives are being measured in hours, not years. Doctors in nearby hospitals work frantically. Patients arrive with burns that will not heal, with organs failing, with bodies emitting radiation like living furnaces. Lead aprons offer no protection. Nurses handle clothing so radioactive it smolders in their hands. Chernobyl becomes a battlefield with no enemy in sight, only men and women fighting an invisible, merciless foe. For 36 hours after the explosion, life in Pripyat continues. Children play in the courtyards, families shop in markets. Some even watch the strange blue glow above the plant, unaware they are staring into a cloud of death. Finally, buses arrive. A column stretches for miles, Soviet coaches, commandeered from across Ukraine. Officials announce that residents must leave immediately, but they are calm, reassuring. It is only temporary, they insist. Pack lightly. Bring what you need for 3 days. You will return. The people obey. Suitcases snap shut. Toys are left on tables. Laundry hangs drying on balconies. Cats wander the stairwells, puzzled at the sudden silence. By evening, nearly 50,000 souls are gone. Pripyat is emptied in a single day. The city, built to celebrate the promise of nuclear power, is now a ghost town. Its swings swaying in the wind, its Ferris wheel rusting in the sun. The evacuees wait, believing they will one day go home, but none of them ever will. Pripyat becomes a museum of absence, a frozen reminder of the moment when trust in progress turned to ashes. As buses carry families away, Soviet leaders scramble to contain not just the reactor, but the truth. In Moscow, officials insist the situation is under control. Newspapers print nothing. State television airs parades and patriotic music. Even as radiation spreads across Europe, the Soviet people are kept in the dark. But secrets cannot stop the wind. In Sweden, scientists detect unusual radiation levels. Their instruments point east, toward Ukraine. The Soviets can no longer deny what has happened. At last, Moscow admits there has been an incident. But they downplay its scale, describing it as a minor accident, a fire already extinguished. The world knows otherwise. Satellite photos show the devastation. Western governments demand answers. Inside the Soviet Union, trust fractures. Citizens whisper rumors of sickness, of mass graves, of leaders too afraid to tell the truth. The system, built on silence and obedience, begins to crack under the weight of its own lies. Chernobyl was not just a nuclear failure, it was a political one, proof that the machinery of secrecy and denial could no longer contain reality. The reactor still burns, its molten heart exposed to the sky. If it cannot be contained, the fire may spread. The remaining reactors may ignite. The unthinkable looms, contamination that could render half of Europe uninhabitable. So the Soviets launch a desperate mission. Engineers and soldiers labor side by side, building a massive concrete tomb over the shattered reactor. It is called the Sarcophagus, a monument of steel and stone meant to seal away the atom's fury. Helicopters thunder overhead, dumping sand, lead, and boron into the core. Men work in short bursts, racing against invisible death, each minute shaved from their lifespan. Robots are sent to clear the most radioactive debris, but even machines fail, their circuits fried by the radiation. In the end, it is men with shovels and lead vests who finish the job. By November, the sarcophagus is complete. 1,000 tons of concrete and steel encase Reactor 4, burying the fire beneath a heavy silence. It is a triumph of human will and a tragedy of necessity. For beneath that tomb still lies a molten mass of uranium and graphite, a creature of science and hubris that will remain deadly for thousands of years. Chernobyl has been contained, but it has not been defeated. Chernobyl was more than an accident. It was a wound, one carved into the land, the people, and the memory of the world. Tens of thousands were displaced, never to return home. Generations carried scars, cancers, illnesses, grief that cannot be measured in numbers. An entire city was erased, left to rot in silence, its Ferris wheel standing like a rusted gravestone to progress gone wrong. For the Soviet Union, Chernobyl was a breaking point. It exposed the cracks in a system built on secrecy and denial. It fueled distrust, sowed anger, and hastened the collapse of an empire that could no longer hide its failures. Yet Chernobyl also left a global legacy, a warning written in ash and radiation, that technology, no matter how advanced, is fragile, that ambition without caution can bring ruin, and that truth, no matter how deeply buried, cannot be silenced forever. And like so many stories we uncover here on the Dusty Ledger, it reminds us, the past is never truly past. It lingers, unseen, waiting to be read.